In this video, we're going to go ahead and do a rebuild on a carburetor off of a 1980 Honda XL185S motor. So, as you guys know on my channel, I did a rebuild on an XL125 and 81. The motor in that is actually 1980 XL185 motor, and this is the original carburetor from it. So we're going to get this stripped down into the ultrasonic to get a good cleaning. Then we're going to rebuild it with a brand new carb kit and test it out and see how it works. So, let's get down to it. First thing I want to do now is get the ultrasonic filled up with our cleaning agent. So I use this product here. It's called Simple Green. See, just like a normal all-purpose cleaner. Let me get that a bit closer to you so you can get some good detail on the label there. I buy this at Home Depot. Anyways, this stuff is concentrated, so I'll mix this like 50-50. So 50% this and 50% hot water, and I've got some hot water here. And the reason I use hot water is it then takes the ultrasonic cleaner less time to heat it up to like say 45 or 50 degrees. So I'm going to fill this halfway with some hot water. And now I can do the other half with some Simple Green. Now it should be good to power this up and get it heated up. And while that's finishing the heating cycle, we'll go ahead and we'll get the carburetor torn down. So the ultrasonic is bringing our solution up to temperature. I'm going to shift this aside. We're going to bring our carb over and we're going to disassemble the carburetor right here on the bench. So there's the original Cayenne carburetor from our 1980 XL185 motor. I believe this is a 24 millimeter. PD is the first two digits of the model number, and then the rest is there. If I'm incorrect in that, I'll post it on the video and the text there, just to make sure we're all right. But anyways, when I first cleaned this, when I first restored the XL, this was still leaking gas like a sieve, like the float needle wasn't sitting properly and all this stuff, and I managed to tweak it a bit so it worked, but then the bike ran really crappy. So I took the carb that I had come with a YX140 motor that I put in my ATC 70, and that actually runs really well on the bike, but I do want to put the original carburetor back on the bike. So, let's go ahead and tear this down. So one thing to keep in mind is a lot of these components, like this auto adjust screw that I just took out, there are full-on replacements in this little kit. Now, take a quick look at the kit here. I'm going to have to turn the autofocus back on and move my light back for a moment here. Servo autofocus. So yeah, you can see the auto adjust screw that we just took out. There's another one right here. There's pretty much replacements for all the components inside there. Try to get that without the light reflecting off it too bad. But I'm still going to clean it all anyways. That way there's extra parts I got kicking around if I need them in the future. Tend to hoard a little bit like that, but it's good to have those extra parts kicking around anyways. So anyways, back to the disassembly, and we'll get that tossed in the ultrasonic. So if we take a look inside the bowl, we can still see that even after I cleaned it, you know, when I first took this all apart, there's still kind of grimy crud in there. and that's just not going to cut it. So this is going in for a good half-hour bath in the ultrasonic. We'll be able to put it back together. So I just got a few of the small pieces, like a couple of the jets and stuff, to come out, and then this is ready to go into the ultrasonic. So I'll finish taking this apart and we'll get it dipped. So there's our carb all disassembled. I got one of these small little kitchen sieves for all the really small stuff. Just put that in there, that way it doesn't go anywhere like in the bottom, because this grating is not big enough to keep those components in. But this is almost up to temperature, so I'm just going to toss it in now. We're going to set it up for a half hour. We're going to come back, check out how clean things are, and then we're going to put it back together with our new kit. So just quickly, while the ultrasonic is doing its thing, for you guys who aren't familiar with the content on my channel, here's the XL125 with the XL185 motor in it that I restored last year. And there's a 19-part series on my channel of the restoration of this, and then there's a more recent video of me getting it road ready, because as you might be able to see back here, there's now a license plate and stickers on it, so it's registered for the road. Either way, if seeing these kind of restorations is something you're into, then feel free to check out my channel, because it's block full of that kind of content. So feel free to give me a subscribe and check it out. Okay, so we'll see you guys in about 25 minutes when the ultrasonic is done, and we'll start putting that carburetor back together. So our cycle is complete. We had 30 minutes. Some good baking there. As you can see by the color of the solution, there's definitely some dirt and whatnot in there from the actual cleaning. So let me get you a quick look at this. Hopefully the light is good enough there. Bring you in for a quick look. So you can see there's some different coloration there on the top. That's all the dirt and debris that's after coming off of the carburetor components. So I'm going to pull these out. We're going to hit them with a bit of compressed air. Then we're going to hit them with some carb cleaner if they need any more. See, I got my carb cleaner over right hither. And then we'll start putting stuff back together. So for each of the parts, like the carb body and all that stuff, as I'm putting it back together now, I've just got my little Ziploc container here. I'm going to hit each of them with a little shot of carb cleaner, but I'm first going to put some goggles on, or glasses on, so I don't get any squirt back in my eyes. But carb cleaner is good because not only does it give you an extra bit of cleaning on your components, and this stuff is a lot more harsh than the Simply Green. Tell all the warnings on her, but it also leaves a very light coat of lubrication on the parts that you're cleaning with it, and that's great when it comes time to do things like the slide. Because if you see now, hopefully if I bring this in you'll be able to see a better shot of it, but this slide kind of looks like a bit matte finish. Now that's because it's been cleaned down to the bare metal. So when I hit this with some carb cleaner, not only does it clean it really well, but then it'll leave me a little light slick of that lubrication that it leaves behind, and then that'll slide up and down inside the body of the carburetor really well. So I'll go ahead and get this all cleaned up now with a bit of carb cleaner, get everything laid out, and we'll start reassembling your carburetor. So now I've got the carburetor parts all laid out. A bunch of the components that I believe we're going to be replacing we'll check now when I open up the carb kit. So I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to open up the carb kit, make sure we got all these replacement parts, and we'll go ahead and start putting this all back together. Just to give you a quick look at what we got in our kit for replacement parts. Go ahead and open this up. These scissors are really bad. Should get better ones. So we've got our bowl gasket. We've got the gasket for the intake side of the motor. We've got the gasket that goes into the top cap of the throttle. We've got our new needle valve. We've got our new fuel air mixture screw. We've got our new, I think this might be the idle adjust screw. It definitely looks to, yeah, it's the same as the idle adjust screw. This one has a slotted head on it. This one has a Phillips head on it. They're the same length. The stocks are the same length anyways. Relatively the same shape on top there. We've got our little O-ring and spring and clamp that go in on top of, for holding our needle in place in the throttle. We've got our slow jet here. Got a new needle. Some more springs, O-rings and clips and stuff for our needle. And finally a new main jet. So one thing I want to do quickly is I want to look at the numbers on this new main jet. This one is a 102 written right here on our jet. And the existing one is a 98. It's written, stamped here on the side. So what that means is we'll get a bit more fuel with the new jet. So I need to determine whether or not I want to try the new jet with the bigger hole to get a bit more fuel in there if I want to use the original jet. I got a funny feeling I'm just going to use the new jet and we can tweak settings on the carburetors need be to make things run properly. So I just took the slow jet out of this carb. You just focus right here. As you can see here, we've got the slow jet that was in it, and that is a, I don't know if you'll be able to pick that up or not, it's going to be really small. Further, I don't know if you'll see that number there, but it's a 35. Sorta. The same thing with the new slow jet. It's also a 35, and the 35 is written on it right there. But here's the thing. The old one is not threaded, and the new one is threaded. So I'm starting to think that there's a high potential that this carburetor was from the original 125 motor that was in this bike. That being the case, we are going to have a couple differences, and those differences are, I think, just two actually. The slow jet is different. I know the main jets are slightly different sizes, but it's only very minuscule. A 102 versus a 98. And I think that's fine. We're still going to put this back together with the kit, but there are a few components that aren't going to fit. So we're not going to be using the new component, we'll be using the old component. And that should be fine. So either way, I'm going to go ahead and start putting this back together, and we'll bring you guys back when we've got a completely assembled carburetor. Okay, so quick test once again. It's gas lined. When this is in this position, we should not be getting anything going through. And when it's flipped over, Good. Now our float is not really level there. What I'll do is I'll just make a slight adjustment to the little tab here. And we should be good to go. There we go. So ever so slight adjustment, that levels that up, and we still got seal. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so in looking at the size of the slide here, you can tell the seal is way too big to go in there. My old one is still in relatively decent shape, so I can make use of that again. But this is not the carburetor for the motor that's in that bike. So this is a XL125 carb attached to an XL185 motor, and that's why it wasn't ever really running right. So there's a high likelihood that the Piranha YX140 carb that's on the XL is probably going to stay there. But in the interim, I'm going to finish reassembling this, and then we should be able to take a look at the final product. So let's get this glued up. So there you have it. That's our XL125 carb rebuilt that we'll be putting back onto our XL185 motor. It's unfortunate that I didn't realize that's what it was, because I would have bought the 125 kit for it. But then again, this wasn't really running that fantastic using the smaller carburetor. Anyway, but we'll give it a shot at some point and see how it goes. Worst comes to worst, we keep the YX140 carb on it. So in the meantime, I'm going to be doing this one tomorrow evening. So here's the smaller, once again, a Cajun carb off of the C70. See right here, we've got our Honda C70 carburetor kit. So tomorrow evening, I'll come out and I'll get to work on this one, and we'll get another little video uploaded so you guys can see how it works when we're doing the carb for a C70. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy the content, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel. Lately my channel's been growing a little bit, and I think I'm almost at 1,600 subscribers at this point. And I really appreciate you guys for subscribing to my channel and coming back and checking my content out. Just as a little added bonus, this is what the XL currently runs like on the Piranha YX140 carb that I got with the motor, the YX140 motor that I bought from ATC70. Now it's labeled as a Mikuni carb, 24mm, and I wasn't entirely convinced it was actually a Mikuni carb, but either way, just to see what it's like. See, the bike's cold. Flick the key. I won't even need to choke it, just kick it. And away it runs. So I mean, that's running pretty good on that. But at some point in the future, we will give that other carb a go. So once again, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.